All right, welcome to Let Freedom Ring. As everybody knows, last night was WrestleMania 37. Obviously, we talk a lot about wrestling here at Let Freedom Ring, but my guest to discuss kind of what went down last night, the host of the Franco-American Legacy podcast.
Close.
I'm sorry.
French Canadian Legacy podcast. Yeah.
I apologize. Sorry, we're
It's
live. We're live. We're not used to this.
No worries.
But I have Jesse Martineau on the show, also a longtime wrestling fan. Jesse, welcome back. You are now two-time guest of Let Freedom Ring.
I think I've tied my boy Al for most number of appearances on Let Freedom Ring, if I'm not mistaken. Or has he got 3 now? Is he still ahead of me?
Al is at 2. He's currently at 2 right now. So
we're even.
I appreciate you coming back, and we can just talk about this a little bit. But yeah, so we got Monday Night Raw kind of going on right now. It looks like the New Day's in the ring, which is great. I just want to not just discuss that I am the undisputed Pick'em League champion. Now, there's a lot of controversy with the Pick'em League. I know you have controversy with it.
Yeah. I remember I came in second when I was in the lead the entire time, and then I was not invited back to the Pick'em League. That's my controversy.
There's a lot of discussion about that because I got roped in with these decisions, but I would like to say I'd like to clear my name. Sure. I did win last night, but I had nothing to do with that. But apparently, Bobby William Bollier said he's going to do something that's never been done before, and he wants everybody back. We will get into that, but as for right now,
that could be an entire new show. Absolutely,
that could be it. I do have the old belt, but I will tell you,
that is a good belt.
It's good to be king. It's good to be king.
Sure, it is. Yeah.
Something I've dreamed about since I was a little kid, a little Hulkamaniac, Bret Hart fan back in the day. But anyways,
how did you go for Hulk this weekend?
It did not go well.
Not well. Not well is the answer, right?
Deservingly so.
Fair.
I would say for Hulk Hogan. And we say this a lot on the show. We like Hulk Hogan, the character, but Terry Bollea, and I'll say it again, he's a piece of shit. He is.
Oh, I didn't realize we could say cuss words on Let Freedom Ring.
We don't use the F-bomb.
Okay.
Well, I've not, told people not to do that, but the S word's okay. I'm not going to get too mad.
We're less WWE and more AEW on this program.
More AEW.
Okay, I gotcha.
I just want to shout out to Mike Campbell for me saying the name wrong. I apologize, Mike. Get the name right. Boo him. So
that's fair.
I did put the Quebec flag is in the corner of this episode.
I did notice that. Yeah.
So
that's a good touch.
Very important to it. But all right. So we do have a couple Facebook questions here.
Okay.
Mike Campbell again here. Dear Jesse, was WrestleMania improved by the company you had watching it?
Yeah.
Who you were with?
Yeah. So we had a good time. I got to hang out with Mike and Fender. We're all on our computers because, we're still in crazy COVID world. So I was, at the same desk that I'm at right now that I spend, I don't know, about 20 hours of every day at. So between work and, what I do with hosting the podcast and everything else. But yeah, so I was watching from my place, and Feder's at his place, and Mike was at his place. It was cool. We had a good time. It was good to be able to. The only thing that was not fun is, for whatever reason, my TV was like way ahead of the other two. So like I would see everything at least a good 30 seconds before they would. So it was kind of tough sometimes to have to like not react to stuff. So I didn't spoil what was about to happen for him.
That is one of the hardest things though that we've gone through COVID, because like we've been on a few like group chat type stuff, and it's like
you're not very good at that, by the way.
No, I'm horrible at it. As to say, I have probably spoiled more things for you than
Quite a
anybody
bit.
else you probably ever met.
Oh,
Not
everybody,
intentionally.
everybody else combined. Yeah, it's not close. Yeah,
What was the one? There was one you were so mad at me.
yeah,
Was it Omega when Omega won the title?
yes. So yes, it was the Okada Omega. You know, the match that afterwards everybody was calling the greatest wrestling match in the history of wrestling. I had intentionally not watched it yet, but I had saved it to watch it the following day. I had stayed off of all social media whatsoever because I did not want anybody spoiling it. I did not even go on the internet because I did not want to find out, even risk finding out what happened because I figured it would be an awesome match. And some donkey texted me the result. So
I was
before
trying.
before I even got to see it, you texted me what happened.
I was at.
Yes.
The funny thing is, I texted you that I was at a Dunkin' Donuts getting a coffee before my nephew's soccer game.
Yeah.
Did I think that I come into work the next day and you're like, you wait a long time for a lot of things, and to have someone send, and I was like, oh my bad. But
That's pretty bad. That
I
was that
have.
was pretty bad. Yep. Yeah.
I'll admit I'm a habitual offender because I've done it many times. You know.
That was the
Uh,
worst though. You're right. Yeah.
we have. It sounds like we got a shout out from Timothy Bollier.
Nice.
We have you live streaming in Quebec. So apparently, again, we're get big shout out to Quebec. We love Quebec.
I'm going to be
Quebec.
there 2 weeks from today. I will have just finished my first day of classes, first full day of
Oh,
classes in Quebec City.
that is very exciting. Now, are you going to continue the podcast while you are there? Is the podcast
Absolutely.
okay?
Yeah, absolutely. So we got recorded a number of episodes, like pre-recorded, but we're also going to do some recording while I'm up there. So
No, that's going to be super cool. Obviously, yeah. So 2 weeks from 2 weeks going.
yeah, so a week from Saturday is when I leave.
Very awesome. I know that is something that you've been looking forward to for a very long time. And obviously, COVID-19 threw a wrench into that plan.
Sure. Yeah, I was supposed to go last year, but that's why I'm still a little nervous because it was about this time. I was about 10 days away from going last year when the rug got pulled out from under me. So, but yeah, I was supposed to go last year. But I guess the silver lining is I'm actually, it's kind of crazy to think, but between the I don't know the stimulus money and the fact that I haven't had to pay a student loan all year because I'm actually in a lot better shape financially than I would have been had I gone last year. So
No, no, no. Well, I'm excited for you because I know that is something that you've looked forward to for a long time.
for sure,
So I'm so pumped for that.
appreciate that. Thanks, man.
Uh,
I'm looking forward to going.
now we have one other question from Facebook from my friend Lori Poulin, softball
Okay,
player. Now
nice.
she's not a wrestling fan. Um, I think she likes to rip on wrestling quite a bit, but she
Okay,
wants to know how many writers does it take to write a storyline? Um,
that's funny.
that's hard for me to really know. I think, when it comes to WWE, Vince McMahon has last say on everything.
Yeah, he does. They have an entire team though, which I think is pretty amazing. I'd love to be on that team. I'm sure everybody who's ever been on the team says your life is terrible and it's a miserable experience, but I'd still like to have it. I think it'd be cool to be in that room for a while just to be able to say I was.
Oh, I totally agree. And I mean, but they also have things called agents that help decide the matches as well.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I mean, I think to me personally, one of the most creative minds in the history of wrestling is Paul Heyman.
Sure.
And Paul Heyman has had quite a bit of impact on WWE. But did you ever hear the story about Paul Heyman like getting fired for listening to the Raw conversation?
I did not.
Okay, so back in the early 2000s when they were doing, Raw and SmackDown, apparently Paul Heyman got fired for listening. He worked for SmackDown and he overheard stuff that was going on Raw, which is weird to me they get fired
It's
for that
weird. Yep.
because
It's
it's the
definitely
same
weird.
it's the same company. Like, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. I mean, they have the same writing team now, essentially. Well, I don't think they have the same team, but they have the same people overseeing both writing teams at this point, I think.
Well, I think what Vince wanted to do back in the day was create what WCW and WWF was before.
Y-
But it's not head to head, and it's the same company. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. It was the whole competition makes everybody better theory type thing. Yeah.
Yeah, but to answer your question, Lori, I'm not 100% sure. I'm sure
Yeah.
I'm sure there's different writers that go into everything. Obviously, I don't even think that you have traditional bookers anymore, at least in WWE. Back in the WCW days, obviously Dusty Rhodes had a big impact on how each finish went. Vince
Sure.
McMahon probably had a big. And I don't think it's that way anymore. Um, and yeah, I don't know.
I have no idea. Yeah.
I can tell you, back in the '90s, in the early 2000s, Vince Russo probably had a big impact on things in WWF. But obviously, it went through Vince McMahon. He's always the one that has the final say.
Sure. Yeah.
So, but Jesse, I have to ask: did you enjoy the two-night spectacular of WrestleMania 37?
I did actually, for sure, and I think it didn't hurt that the final match of both nights was awesome. Both nights ended with an absolutely terrific match, so that certainly helps your impression looking back at it. And it definitely wasn't perfect. There were definitely some stinkers in there for sure. But overall, I do think it was a really, really good show. I guess my question to you is, and I'm curious to get your thoughts on this: what do you prefer, the 1 7 hour marathon or the 2 3.5 hour night spectacular?
Yeah, so that's a tough question. As someone that has admittedly fallen asleep at WrestleMania,
Oh, there's pictorial evidence to prove that. Yes.
yes, I fell asleep at WrestleMania. I'm not going to lie. The parking lot before is a good time. It's a great time. You get in there, and it's like you've been going since 11 o'clock, and it's phenomenal. But it's an experience like no other. I will say this: if I was going to the show, I'd want one night.
Okay.
As a fan watching from home, I'd prefer 2 nights.
Gotcha. Interesting.
I,
See,
I,
I've never been, so I wouldn't know. And 7 hours seems long.
it's a long
Seems
time.
seems like a long
Yeah,
time. I mean, because I'm going back and forth right now. Because in general, just watching from home, 7 hours is okay because you could like make a day of it, right? You get all your buddies together, go to somebody's house, a normal, non-crazy COVID world. Pull out the grill, make it a day, and that's cool. And that's fun. But so I was leaning towards that. But the thing about the 7 hours is by the time you get to the main event, the crowd's dead, completely dead.
that's true.
And
Yeah.
I think part of what made both final matches, both main events, main event for each night, part of what made them special was because the crowd was still very much into it at that point of the evening.
No, I think the 2 nights is better. I guess the only reason as a fan that I'd want the one night is because I do like the idea of going to. There wasn't fans at the Hall of Fame this year.
Right.
So when I went to WrestleMania, I loved that aspect of going to the Hall of Fame, watching my favorite wrestlers growing up, and like the Harlem. I got to see Harlem Heat go in. I got to
Sure.
see someone try to attack Bret Hart. I got to see DX
That's
go
right.
in. So I love that aspect of being on a Saturday night going to the Hall of Fame. But if they're going to change everything completely, you do the 2 nights, maybe do the Hall of Fame on a Thursday when you can have fans back. But now SmackDown's on Friday nights, so it's like a lot of wrestling going on, obviously.
Of course.
But I think the 2 nights probably is how it should go moving forward.
Yeah, I'm undecided to be honest with you. I don't have a strong opinion either way. I think there's pros and cons to each, for sure.
No, definitely. But let's get into.
That always makes for the best, online discussion. By the way, when somebody comes up and is like, I don't care either way, that's probably the way to do it, right?
Now, what would Simon say from what culture? He
Yeah,
might, hopefully he's watching.
You got to give it an up or down. You can't have neither. No.
All right, let's get into kind of what happened last night. Now, last night before WrestleMania Night 2, we had Justin Del Rio from the Nerds of Wrestling podcast on. Nerds of Wrestling Facebook group. I think he has he's a podcast too. But let's talk about Night 2.
Sure.
First match of the night. We got the Fiend Bray Wyatt versus Randy Orton. What's your take on that match? What did you think about it?
My take is I wish, first of all, I think it's awesome that you can gamble on professional wrestling. I think that's the greatest thing of all time now. It's sponsored by DraftKings. If you had put money on Randy Orton yesterday, you got paid. because he was an enormous underdog going into that. It's like 500 plus 500 or something going into that match. He was huge. I did not see that coming. I assumed he was about to get squashed, so I was intrigued. I thought the Jack in the Box was cool too.
Yeah, did you like the white trunks from Orton?
I know a lot of people talking about the white trunks. They're making a big deal of the white trunks. Yeah.
I liked it. Obviously, I think a lot of people wanted the Fiend to go over. I'm still okay with it. I don't know what, I think Brian Malone has said this a couple times that, you can't just judge it off of act 1 or 2 or 3.
Oh, sure.
You gotta let the whole thing play out. So I don't know where it's going. Would I prefer to see the Fiend go over? Sure. But, I see people on the internet going nuts. Like the Fiend is all done. And I go, I don't know.
I don't think he
I
is.
don't know if that character he doesn't need to win every match.
I'm just curious. In that respect, they got me because I am more curious now where that storyline's going than I otherwise would have been.
Yeah, because the other thing too was like Alexa Bliss,
right?
Pin Randy Orton. Were you going to have the Fiend pin Randy Orton too? I mean, he's already lost. He's already lost here, So
yeah. I mean, the other highlight for that match was, for whatever reason, Michael Cole was not able to call it a Jack in the Box, so he had to call it a box-like structure, which I was like, that's terrific. Yeah.
Oh, Michael Cole. You never know with him. What did you think of Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler versus Natalya and Tamina? Not much to report here.
Yeah, no, the one thing that I do think is cool is, and for whatever reason, I'm not really sure why, but for whatever reason, it seemed like the crowd gave Tamina a legitimate pop when she got into the ring, and I don't really know what happened for that to be the end result, but sure, good for her. The crowd seemed legitimately excited to see her when she got into the match, so I guess that was cool, but probably wasn't my favorite match on the card.
Well, if you want to talk about like very two underappreciated people in WWE, it's probably Tamina and Natalya. They're wrestling royalty. Now I know we could talk about Jimmy Snuka's past. I don't want to do that, but Tamina is his offspring.
Yeah. He did kill somebody. But
yeah. More than likely he did.
Yeah, it's not on her, but yeah, she's been around for quite a while, but yeah, seemingly it was cool. But I was surprised, put it that way.
Yeah, no, it was good, and I do know a lot of people want to see D.H. Smith get involved. I do think he needs to be signed by one of the big companies because I do think that I know he was there for the Hall of Fame, but this guy,
right?
How is he not on television on a regular basis?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean we've seen him, but yes, he was there. Obviously, he spoke at the Hall of Fame. He did a good job. Yeah, I have no idea where his future is.
Yeah, no, and we got to meet Teddy Hart. Teddy Hart is now kind of banned from most things. I don't have a problem with Teddy Hart. He was very nice to us when we met him.
Sure was, yeah.
But there's obviously some maybe a dark side there. That we don't know too much about.
No idea. No.
All right, two best friends had a match last night. And I thought it was actually fantastic. And this goes back. We've talked about this for a while. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. Logan Paul gets involved as well. What did you think of Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn?
Yeah, the should have been the puts in on a pole match.
That would have sold me.
That would have been. I mean, obviously, I'm super biased. A couple of guys from Quebec who have been buddies going back forever. So the early Ring of Honor days. And it's too bad because their stuff for Ring of Honor was like legendary, and then they had a couple of semi just average matches when they got to the WWE. But last night was awesome. Last night was a quick match, but they beat the crap out of each other. So that was very, very cool to see. You can just tell that. I mean, the second KO stepped out of from the back out of Gorilla, he was clearly very, very excited to be in front of fans. He was very amped up, and Sammy plays his role perfectly. He always does. So, no, it was cool. It was awesome.
Well, it's gonna be one of those things too, where like those two have feuded for so long,
Oh yeah,
and they're best friends in real life that they get to wrestle each other in the first show back in front of fans. Now I know we're back to the Thunderdome tonight, but that's gotta be like just it's gotta be a surreal moment. Now
at a WrestleMania, absolutely. Yeah.
I enjoyed the match too. What did you think of Logan Paul, who I'm not a fan of the Paul brothers? What did you think of his involvement in the match? Not really in the match, but
Yeah,
post match.
I mean, it was good on him, I guess. He agreed to take it. Sure. I mean, I think he's again served his role. He's no Bad Bunny, but he came in, he did what he agreed to do. He's gonna bring more. Hopefully, it brings more attention to KO and Sammy, and they get kind of a rub from that. That's what I'm hoping, anyway. Yeah,
Yeah, I want to apologize here for the second time on Let Freedom Ring. I crapped on Bad Bunny. I was wrong. I was wrong about him.
Bad Bunny was awesome. I was very much surprised by that. I mean, because you figure normally, right? You have a tag match featuring a celebrity that it's going to be the actual wrestler who's in the ring pretty much the entire time, just getting beat up, and at the very end, he's going to get a hot tag. Celebrity's going to come in, hit a couple moves, get a pin, match over, celebrate. This one was the exact opposite. It was Bad Bunny in there the entire match, selling like crazy, being awesome, and then all of a sudden, he gets the tag to the actual wrestler, and then they go from there. No, it was cool.
I mean, he did more than I think any other celebrity that I can really think of. Like, I enjoyed Lawrence Taylor versus Bam Bam Bigelow, but
Sure.
Lawrence Taylor didn't. I mean, wrestling was a little bit different then. Lawrence Taylor didn't do a Canadian Destroyer.
No, and credit Morrison, right?
Oh yes,
I'm
Morrison.
not.
They
I'm not
care.
sure. Yeah, I'm not sure you couldn't do a Canadian destroyer to Morrison, because I think he's just that amazing.
Yeah, I mean, because I talked to this with Justin the other night. It was like I've seen Virgil hit a Canadian Destroyer, but I will
Sure.
say this: Bad Bunny delivered
Oh, he was
uh,
awesome.
something more than we really expected. And you know what? At the end of the day, it doesn't hurt Miz. It doesn't hurt Morrison.
No, it's really not.
It was just fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I was into it for sure. I give him a lot of credit for that. No, it was a very entertaining match. I thought he did a really good job. And I think for me right now, he's number two. I think that Pat McAfee is still number one in my
Yeah.
all-time wrestling performance by celebrity guy, because McAfee was amazing, both on the mic and in the ring. But yeah, no, I was really entertained. And
Did
that's
you
good.
enjoy? Did you like Floyd Mayweather and Big Show at Mania 24?
I mean, probably a bias because I don't like Floyd Mayweather,
Okay.
period. So I was not super into it, but I will confess that it's probably not unrelated to the fact that I just don't like him.
Fair enough. I mean, because that was the first time a celebrity match happened that I was like, this is actually pretty good.
Sure.
Um, even though I did like Lawrence Taylor, Bam Bam, I was really little at the time. I was only
Sure.
like 11. Even though like I watch it now and I go, that was pretty good.
It
That was a
was.
pretty good match, you know?
Yeah. Main event. That's a big spot for sure.
Yeah. And it got Bam Bam, one of my all time favorites. And I say this all the time, put Bam
Yep.
Bam Bigelow in the Hall of Fame.
Not really sure why he's not. Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense to me. The guy was just one of the best big men that ever wrestled. And even his yeah, he needs to
Yeah.
be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Absolutely.
What did you think of Sheamus and Matt? And again, Matt Riddle, not Riddle,
That's
Matt
just Riddle,
Riddle.
man. No.
I
That's what
hate
happens when you
that.
get to the main roster. You lose your first name.
If your name is Bill Goldberg and you go by Goldberg, I'm fine with that. I didn't like Andrade being just Andrade. I don't like
Mhm.
Riddle as Riddle. He's Matt Riddle to me. What'd you think of that match? WrestleMania moment happened last night.
I thought that was a really good match. I think people, because of the character he plays, I think sometimes we forget how ridiculously athletic Matt Riddle really is. He is really, really good when it comes bell to bell time. And I thought, I'm happy for Sheamus too, because Sheamus has put in really good work for the past few months. And so I'm glad to see him be able to go over. I mean, there was definitely a couple of botches there, but to me, that did take away from the overall match. How about yourself?
I mean, I think Sheamus is a first ballot Hall of Famer if you're going to go
Sure.
down that road. What I thought was crazy was a bro kick off a moonsault. To me,
Yeah,
that's a WrestleMania moment right
that was a
there.
great move. Yeah, that was a good way to put the exclamation point on it for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that, to be honest, that was one of the coolest things I think I saw during WrestleMania. One of my favorite parts of the whole show.
Just this night or both nights?
Even both nights, yeah. I thought that I love to see because that reminded me of remember when Adam Cole had that match with Ricochet
Yeah,
and he
yeah,
hit the super kick on him like that? Like that was up there with
yeah. No,
that.
that was cool. I agree.
So I was a big fan of that. Paulo Cruz, Big E, in a Nigerian drum fight. What's your takeaway from that match?
I'm still not sure what makes it a Nigerian drum fight. It looked a lot like any other, I don't know,
I'm
street
not fully
fight
sure.
or any other match. So, first of all, they beat each other up. Also, my question with that match is, how come we had to pretend like we didn't know who Babatunde / Dabakato is? Like,
That was weird.
I mean, he was in the greatest Royal Rumble, if you remember, as Babatunde. He showed up. He was part of Raw Underground
Raw Underground,
as
the
as
biggest hit.
Dabakato. He was
Raw
drafted.
Underground is the biggest hit of Monday Night Raw's history.
He was drafted. He was drafted in the draft afterwards. But now he comes in wearing like, I don't know, military style shirt, and we have to pretend like we have no idea who this guy is who just crashed this party. That was kind of strange to me. But I mean,
I'm
besides
cool
that,
with that
I
though.
think I think it's cool for Paulo Cruz because I mean, 4 months ago he couldn't buy himself a spot on TV. So the
Yeah.
fact that he was able to win a belt at WrestleMania, good on him.
No, I like this idea. I like how he's using his Nigerian descent
Sure.
to make a new character. Obviously, I know sometimes we get a little frustrated with, and I said this on the show the other day. We get a little frustrated with the foreign gimmicks that Vince will come up with to just get heat. But again, I love Jinder Mahal. Like I was a huge Jinder Mahal fan.
Yeah.
I might be a Jinder Mahal mark.
Yeah.
Um, but
Big Nikolai Volkov. You a fan of
Nikolai,
Nikolai?
I mean, there's so many. I mean,
Sure.
Yokozuna was Samoan. He wasn't Japanese. Like,
He was not. Yeah.
so Vince kind of likes to do this, but I think like Apollo Crews is a fantastic performer, and I don't know, give him something. You got to give him something,
Yeah, I think he's playing this pretty well.
And you know what? And it doesn't hurt Big E. I think Big E needs to be brought to the main event.
I
That's me
think this
personally.
opens up the opportunity for that. Yep. Dropping
Yeah.
that belt, I think definitely because I don't know who else is at this point.
And I mean, and that's another thing to talk about. I mean, you want to talk like how things progress. Like Bobby Lashley's the WWE champion. You had Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks main eventing night one. Like that's really like when you think Vince McMahon, you don't think that stuff's going to happen. You know?
No, yeah, I mean we had talked about this informally before, but off air. But you would think even 4 or 5 years ago, the thought of two African American women headlining a WrestleMania night would have been completely unthinkable. There would have
Yeah.
been no way that the WWE would ever do that. So the fact that that's what happened is very, very awesome. And like you had mentioned, the fact that we have Bobby Lashley as the actual champ on Raw right now is also very, very awesome.
Yeah, I love to see it. Very happy with Bobby Lashley being champion. I just assumed Vince wanted to put McIntyre over. I think a lot of us did until I knew it was the first match of the night, though. Then
Right.
my opinion went. I think Lashley's going to retain.
Yeah.
So
No, that was good. Yeah, I honestly wasn't. That didn't click because I just assumed that they would want to start with a big pop first match back in front of a crowd. But no, I think it was the right move. Honestly, I didn't see it coming, but I do think it was the right move.
no, it was pretty smart. It was pretty smart. Rhea Ripley, Asuka. Women's
was okay.
championship. What'd you think of that?
I thought it was the correct result. I'm not sure that's the best match Rhea Ripley's ever going to have in her life. In fact, I think she had a better match last year in front of nobody with Charlotte. But I think she's insanely talented. We were looking at it last night. I'm pretty sure if Federer's research is correct, she was the youngest competitor on either night. So she's the youngest person to appear in the ring during this WrestleMania, and she like unlimited potential. She could be a star for a very, very long time. So I thought that, like I said, I thought the result was cool. I'm not sure that it was the most compelling actual match that she'll ever have. How about yourself?
That's a fair point. So we do have a comment from Facebook from Stephen Dennis. Did Jesse know who Logan Paul was?
Not at all. Absolutely not. No, I didn't know who Bad Bunny was either.
Yeah, I didn't know
Before that.
Bad Bunny. I did know Logan Paul because I would say I've not liked Logan Paul since he went to the Japan or whatever it was to a forest where a lot of suicides happen, and he made a mockery of it. So I've not been a fan of his since then.
Okay.
Steven also wants to know what finishing move would Jesse do on Logan Paul?
See, I got to find out who this guy is first. And I don't think right now I'm going to execute any finishing move because I think it's more likely to cause damage to myself than anybody else at this point. But no, yeah, I'm going to be honest, I didn't know who the guy was. Before this.
He's a YouTuber. He's a clown. I don't like Logan Paul. Never like Logan Paul. I don't like his brother. Oh, I knocked out Nate Robinson. Okay, Nate's not really a fighter.
I did watch that. I was watching that fight.
No, what's his name? Jake Paul. He did. He legit knocked him out.
I was scared. I thought Nate was in trouble. Big time trouble.
Well, I thought the most interesting part of that was Snoop Dogg's on commentary and goes,
he was.
Yeah, Nate's from the hood. He'll be all right. I'm like, dude, he's not moving.
That was a surreal evening altogether. Yeah, okay. I'm not really proud of myself for having purchased that, but I did.
I did purchase it myself. The only other issue I had was Mike Tyson won that fight.
He did. Yeah,
he did clearly. But neither here nor there. Main event.
Yes,
which I thought was fantastic. And again, controversy, but
yeah, I heard you cheated. Yeah.
Well, apparently a lot of people believe that, but that's not true.
That's what the internet says. Internet's never wrong.
I am the champion. 6 years in the making. 6 years. I've waited for this. And let me tell you this. No. It feels good to be king. I know how Eric Bischoff felt when he beat Vince McMahon for 83 weeks.
See, it's like, I think it's always going to have an asterisk because not everybody was allowed to participate.
No, they what? No, that was unfair. And I get it. But I'm keeping this. I'm not giving it back. I'm not giving it back. I don't care. This is now mine. It actually, I slept with it today.
There you go.
It laid right next to me. I said, I am the Pick'em League champion. And learn to love it because it's the best thing going today.
I'm willing to wager this is probably not the last time we're going to hear that.
No, I'll be doing promos probably until 2022.
That's what I figured. Yeah, okay.
At this point.
Yeah.
That's all. All right, main event. Main event. The Tribal Chief, the head of the table, Roman Reigns, Edge, Daniel Bryan. What did you think of that?
Right ending. Was surprised by the ending because I figured, again, incorrectly, that this would be, the main event of the first event with a crowd in, over a year. It's a WrestleMania. I did not see them giving it to the one clear heel of the three of them. I figured it would be one of the other two so that they'd have the big, everybody happy, either the entire crowd doing a yes chant or people in the crowd crying to see Edge win the title back. I thought something like a feel-good moment like that would be how they would end. But the fact that they did the way they did, first of all, the match was awesome. It's
unbelievable.
Usually you have with the triple triple threat match. You have two guys actually wrestling, and the third taking a nap on the outside somewhere. But that wasn't the case with these guys. These guys were terrific the entire time. I liked what they did as far as getting Uso out of the story early on and bringing him back, but allowing the three wrestlers to just wrestle without Uso interfering for a while. I thought was awesome. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was terrific. The entire thing was terrific.
Yeah, I looked at it. I didn't think Edge was going to actually win the title because I don't think Edge wants to be full time. If you're the champion, you are, unless you're Brock Lesnar and you draw
Sure.
crazy money, you got to be there every week, and I don't think Edge wants to do that.
Edge was a slight favorite going in, according to the bookies, actually, which is interesting.
Yeah. Overall, though, I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And I actually loved the ending. I liked that Roman pinned them both. So. What do you feel about people? So there's a lot of debate on the internet, right, about wrestling fans now being fully behind Roman Reigns, which is I'm included, that weren't before that, but we didn't like his character before that.
You mean the people who are now way more supportive of bad guy Roman than good guy Roman?
Yes.
Oh, I think he's just way better at this.
He's way better at this.
Yeah.
It's what he should have been doing forever.
Yeah. I mean, I'll fully admit I'm probably more an AEW guy than a WWE guy if I had to pick one. That said, there's nobody in wrestling that's better than Roman Reigns right now. Nobody. I think he's the most entertaining day in and day out character in all of wrestling. I think he's been absolutely awesome, super entertaining. Yeah, this is the best he's ever been. So I have no issue with that. I mean, somebody's now way more entertaining. I have no problem with you all of a sudden being excited about them. By the way, I thought it was cool. Because the thing I was kind of worried about, because this character is so awesome, I think it would have messed things up if the crowd had gone kind of rogue and started cheering for him. I was a little bit nervous about that going into WrestleMania. So the fact that he got booed, I thought was a really good thing for everybody involved in that match. I thought that was the crowd doing their job very well for that match.
No, I think I agree. I think Roman is at the top of. He's the head of the table. He's the tribal chief.
He's your tribal chief. Yeah.
He really is doing this character better than anything he's ever done, in my opinion. And I think this is what he's wanted. I could be wrong.
Yeah, that I don't know. I just know he's really good at it. Way better than I thought he would be at it, frankly. I figured they would put him with Heyman. When I saw he was with Heyman, first of all, I got really hype. But I figured they would put him with Heyman so that Heyman could do, the vast majority of the talking. Hasn't been necessary because Roman's been terrific. Absolutely been great this entire run since he's come back as a heel. Very believable character too. I think it's great.
I really appreciate. Any your
You're breaking up on my end.
Hello.
Yeah. Okay. You coming in? Out.
All right. I'm hardwired in too.
I don't know what's up.
But Jesse, I appreciate you on the show. This has been a lot of fun. Definitely have to do live stream when you get back.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We could definitely work something out for sure. This is cool. I appreciate the invite, sir.
No, I appreciate you coming on, and we'll get some patines. It's gonna be great.
Absolutely.
It's gonna be the best thing ever. But anyways, everybody out there, I hope you enjoyed WrestleMania. But until next time, we'll see you Thursday. Let Freedom ring.